out of the mainline games, the worst Dragon Quest is. Drum roll, please. Dragon Quest 2. I guess this. That's not it. Can I just get a Dragon Quest 2 trailer? Alright, well, I got Kings. My boy Brian, he's been on the channel before. He always lets me steal his stuff, so I'm just going to use his. That's Dragon Quest 2 on the Game Boy Color. Dragon Quest 2 is the story, is the second Dragon Quest game, as you would guess by the number 2 that comes after the name. And I would argue it's the worst, and I think most people would generally agree. When I say worst, I also don't mean it totally derogatory. It's an okay game. I certainly would never recommend it to anybody who is asking if they should play a Dragon Quest game. It's pretty brutal. You're following your character and the, oh my goodness, Prince of Midenhall and the Princess of blah, blah, blah. Can't remember. It's been a minute. As they journey through a land that will very quickly become very familiar. It is a direct sequel to Dragon Quest 1, which most of the games in Dragon Quest are not canonically related, although 1 through 3 are. It's I think it's a first for the series. It does a lot of things that would become staples later on. The exploration, it brings multiple party members, which at the time was not a common thing, especially for console RPGs. So it had some new strides, which is really impressive. But it's just very unrefined. It's unbalanced. Hopefully, when they do the re-release or do the new HD 2D one next year, they'll adjust some of the balancing issues, especially towards the end of the game. The last slog of it requires quite a leap in experience, and you will just spend a lot of time getting just wrecked by some of the enemies. Dragon Quest 2 is like a really grand experiment, and so you can appreciate some of the things that they did in it, but you can also see that they didn't have all the info that they do now. They had things like your side characters are very weak. They're not like, usually when you think of the characters in your party, you think of them all as equal, but like they excel at certain things and are helpful. These two are both very, very weak. They have their skills and they have their uses, but your party members are significantly weaker than you, and you'll constantly find them dead, which is lame. And your character is like a warrior who has no skills. So do the math on that. That's kind of weird. It's not the most fun game to play. It is a history lesson, but it is not very fun to play, and I do not recommend it. Yeah, not a whole lot to say other than that. I'm staying hydrated. I have my water over here. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend. No bueno. But fun if you become a Dragon Quest buff. It becomes a must play because it does. Obviously, you need it for 1, 2, and 3. So if you're starting from the beginning, you'll begin on 1, 2, and then 3 is the best. Spoiler alert for the rest of the list. But yeah, Dragon Quest 2 is the worst Dragon Quest game.